Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this program. I'm Arnie Engen, the Elucidarian. We're going to elucidate something about America today. We need to understand what's going on here. America is crumbling right before our very eyes. And so is the rest of the world. Look at the economic situation in Europe and places like that. But we're going to concentrate on what's going on here in good old US of A. Let me go to, oh, by the way, it's really cold out there. I got to talk to Al Gore. You know, he's got something to do with this global warming here, that I put my jacket on. It's so hot out there, I got to put my jacket on. That's how hot it is out there. All right, let's go to the other camera here. You see now, the judicial system, the Supreme Court pieces of 9. Pieces of 8 is another book, but this is pieces of 9. Look at this here. Corruption in the courtrooms here. What's going on in the courtrooms of America? Corruption. Now, why is that? That's an interesting book there. Her name is on the bottom there, Gloria Parker. The Fraud of the Judicial System. Now, this is the Supreme Court people, and they're supposed to be very intelligent. So why are they so crooked? The nine. Inside the secret world of the Supreme Court. Maybe we could ask this guy, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News legal guy. Breaks its own laws, it says here. That this is your government that you, the idiot people out there, elected. How could you do something that's stupid like that? But you do this because you're completely brainwashed. You have no knowledge of anything whatsoever. See, that's what this problem is here. Constitutional chaos. America's chaos. The secret world of the Supreme Court. Why is the law supposed to be secret? There's nothing secret about the 10 Commandments. But this, you know, why would these people write these books if they didn't have some substance behind it? I'm going to show you another book here that's very powerful. Yeah. This one. It's a very big book. The debt of the judicial system, it says here. Why is the judicial system dying? What is this? Is the judicial system just a criminal enterprise? It looks that way. Written by Linda Acor. You see that? I'm going to take this off here because I'm going to give you another dose of the same material here that gives us a lot of trouble. But I got to take all these books off here because I can't fit them all on my stand. So, here's another very good book here by Ralph Borashevsky. Hey, we've been conned by the lawyers. See, the Constitution. And boy, oh boy, does he have a point. Oh, man. Now, this is for your lawyers here. You esquires. I got a couple of books here that I'm going to show you. But there's nothing on the side of it except black. So, I'm going to see here, Betrayed by the Bench. Betrayed by the Bench, by a gentleman by the name of John Stormer. He's storming in his book about the corruption Here's another interesting thing here. Men in Black. Men in Black. Very, very powerful stuff. These books here. And when you read and understand what's in here, this book here, How the Supreme Court is Destroying America. Eh? Man, oh man. Mark R. Levin, Regnery, publishes this book. That goes to show you that America is not what you think it is when you start looking into it. It's full of holes. Everything is corrupt in America. There's nothing viable about it, America anymore, because it's going down the tube, and you can see the immoral things. What is the Supreme Court and Congress and the senators doing about this stuff? They don't know what they're doing about anything. Corruption reigns supreme. That's what is the answer. The answer you find in the corrupt judges. You should examine what's going on in government in the same fashion that a doctor puts a sample underneath the microscope to see what's going on. But we do not examine anything in Congress. We just live in the la-la land of idiots. And so we believe the lie rather than examine whether or not it has substance to it. That's it's really a criminal enterprise, the government. Government is now showing its color, and its color is fraud. Take a look at the WikiLeaks. It's the same thing. They tried everything in the world not to protect themselves, because they can't handle the truth that goes along with this stuff here. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you people out there. Well, I'm going to shut down for now because I'm going to add some other items to this kind of stuff that I'm doing right here. So we'll see you on the other side of the coin. You take care in the meantime. Bye-bye.
congressman from Junketville.
Well, Congress is back in session, but before our first transgression, I just have to stand here and gloat about how I got the vote. It was easy getting reelected. Just hope that those votes aren't inspected. I stuffed the ballot box. Now I'm back here in Fort Knox. I never dare to debate the other stinking candidates. Taking sides on issues makes me tense, so I always sat on the fence. Ouch! That hurts. It's a cakewalk to look sincere when you're starting a nasty smear. He claimed that my ads were mud, but all I called him was a lying, rotten, thieving, cheating stud and a dud. I did so much barnstorming. My speeches caused global warming. They made me stop kissing babies, cause the CDC claimed I'd give them rabies. Well, I'm finally back here in the house. Seventh heaven for every louse. Let's light stogies and pop the cork and get down to legislating pork. Thank you. I know. That's right. I don't like what the public pays. So let's first vote ourselves a raise. This work causes us such tension. We must have a bigger pension. I've never had the guts to legislate spending cuts. They say we must tighten our belts. But why give our bellies welts? Ouch! Who needs that? I've acquired a special taste for seeing how much we can waste. I won't trim off 1 ounce of fat. That could cost us a bureaucrat. There's nothing that gets me upset like this talk of reducing debt. So if they want a balanced budget, well, that's no sweat, we'll just fudge it. I want to spend and spend and spend and spend. I've got deserving friends. It's time to up foreign aid. My dictator pals must get paid. 1 billion for obscene art should please my bleeding heart. That last bill you asked, did we need it? How would I know? I didn't read it. I pay people to do that sort of thing.
Excuse me, Congressman, but inquiring minds have been asking how we're gonna pay for all this.
I'm glad you asked that question. Very glad. Just imagine how glad I am that you asked that question. Oh, that can wait for tomorrow. Our grandkids repay what we borrow. Then there's income tax. We can raise it, raise it, raise it to the max. I believe that regulation is the USA's salvation. There's no problem facing any city that cannot be solved by a company. I'm concerned for education. I do more than legislation. At night I tutor my female page, who's a little underage. She looked 18. I've no time for hometown stoops, just special interest groups. Don't distract me from my hobbies, taking contributions from lobbies. You'll never see me blush over funds I use for slush. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than my fingers in the public treasure. I don't get enough from tax, so I've started to take kickbacks. Let's go all the way and get graft if we're gonna give the public the... Now, some folks accuse me of scandal, but it's nothing I cannot handle. If they want to know where I got that gift, my lawyer says, go straight for filth. Now, some big mouths are starting to wail. Said my boat's been up for sale. But I'm not concerned about jail. I'll just make my constituents pay my bill.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again. What do you think of the stuff that that you just watched? Now, there is something for you to take a look at. You won't find that in your library, but it's out there. Now, if you want to check out who or what you are within the confines of this piece of real estate called America, you're not going to find it from this guy's here, I can tell you that. He's the nosiest guy in the world. Hey. There's the guys who have falsified history for you because you didn't have the necessary equipment in your head to check out whether or not what they said has genuine substance. You get what you paid for here. You paid all this money, and what do you get? A crooked government. That's what you got paid. They're going to show you here something else. This could be a benefit to you. This, ladies and gentlemen, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic. I just changed this name here. The rise and fall of the American Republic. Or should I say the American Empire. Gives you a good story inside this little book here. Written by Steve Bonta, a PhD. Now, this is what you need to understand, this kind of stuff like that here. Because the Constitution and the laws of it has gone wayward. Let me do this. Now, you see, when William the Conqueror, you've seen me do this before on the program there about him. The Shitar effect on English law. A law of the Jews become the law of the land. Well, the Jews, I mean, it doesn't specify Jews here. No, you can call a guy American anywhere in the United States. But if you want to get closer down to where this guy is, you call him a Californian or a New Yorker or a New Englander or something. This is an all-inclusive word, Jews. But I could give it to you a little better than that. We'll see what we can do with that here. Let's see. You see this? This says Shitar Trek. That's the Jewish gauge. The Khazar Jews. That's what you're looking at. The Khazaria. And the Khazaria, I don't have, you can see the map behind me here, but I'm not going to get out of the way to do it now. But you have seen me do this before if you have watched the programs. And the Constitution and the laws that goes with it came out of England. All that stuff came right out of England. This is from William the Conqueror. I just did a little bit something on that stuff there before. In a couple of earlier versions of this program. See if there's any other stuff in there. Oh, I have so much things here, I don't know even where to begin sometimes. I have to take a trip around the kitchen table here. But it goes to show you that money runs everything anywhere in the world. Let me take this clip off here so that it won't hamper me so much. See, here's Thomas Jefferson said, if the American people ever allow a private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and the corporation that grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered, so to speak. Abraham Lincoln took the action against the central banks in his time, and he was killed for it. Garfield was another one. And not to mention Kennedy. Now, he really got into the problem, but Kennedy wasn't killed because of money alone. Now, he was involved in the thing down in the Caribbean, Castro. And maybe he had something to do with Operation Garden Plot, too. I should have brought that with me, but I didn't. And he was also involved with the nuclear programs that Israel was working on. And he was trying to stop that too. So he got killed for several reasons here, at least 2 or 3. And but the main one he got killed for was really for the money. The Federal Reserve notes, he was going to do away with them. And he had something going on that. But of course, you know, the bankers, you can't fight those with the regular thing. You know, Kennedy and others did not realize the power of these guys behind the curtain. And that's how come we have the problem today in America. Yeah. And when this Sheetar Gage law, Jewish law, came into being, these were the same guys as the Pharisees. You know, they were the kind of people whom Jesus kicked out of the temple, the usury guys, all kinds of interests and everything. You don't owe anything anywhere in the United States. Alloidial property is a no-no. So when we go into something as interesting as this, we have a problem, a big one, a very big one. So I'm going to continue with this thing here and show you some more very interesting things that you never learn in schools. You never learn that in schools. I mentioned the time that in 1794 in the Jay Treaty, the U.S. paid 600,000 pounds sterling to Britain, and that they did this after 11 years after we supposedly won the war. I mean, we were the conquerors, so how did we owe money to the loser? Give me a break. But you got 3 things here that I'm going to illustrate to you here. These are the guys that does the job. So you have 3 things here. You got the City of London, which is the finance. Then you got Washington, D.C., the military industrial complex, as General Eisenhower, and the Vatican. You got the Vatican, that's basically the religious entities of it. But they are also part of the Novus Ordo Seclorum banking system. Yeah. You see, Rothschild, who runs the banking system, also financed the Vatican at one time. He did. He did. I want you to know that. And this is what comes up on the radar screen when you study things. So, what are you going to do with this kind of knowledge, you people out there? You're going to sit there and look at the TV screens? And then I think maybe you should just switch channels and go to something else more entertaining for you. You know, this is what you do here. We have the city-states, the corporation entities. The sovereign corporate entities have their own laws and their own identities. They also have their own flags below the flag of the Washington, D.C. The 3 stars representing the trinity of these 3 city-states, also known as the Empire of the City, and the esoteric number 3. You can go into this thing in great detail. Washington, D.C. was established as a city-state in 1871 with the passage of the Act of 1871, which officially established the United States as the corporation under the rule of Washington, which itself is subservient to the City of London. Corporations are run by presidents, which is why we have called the person president in the United States. Obama is the president of the corporation. but he takes his orders from the boys in London. We have, in Washington, D.C., have the old Roman law. That's what the conqueror there, William the Conqueror, brought with him in 1066. The Roman law goes all the way back into the Pharisees. You have the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and high ecclesiastic, which means simply Freemasonry. Yeah. The system of Roman law and outside of the limitation established by the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, it should not be surprised that the name Capitol Hill derives from Capitoline Hill, which was the seat of the government in the Roman Empire. That's why you have Capitoline Hill, or Capitol Hill. And even if you look at the wall behind the podium in the House of Representatives, you will notice that on either side of the flag, U.S. flag, is the depiction of a bundle of sticks tied together with an axe. These are called the fasci, hence the root word fascism. This was the symbol of the fascism in the Roman Empire, and it was under the Nazis and still is today. It is not a coincidence that these systems are featured on the floor of Congress. And I showed you that before, the fascia. One on each side of the American flag in the House of Representatives. Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty bad stuff that I'm giving you here. Because we are basically a British financial colony still. Never been out of it. America was never really independent. There was always the shadows of the bankers. There isn't any other way to describe it. Many things. Let's see what it says here. The United States of America is a corporation endowed with the capacity to sue and be sued, to convey and receive property. But it is proper to observe that no suit can be brought against the United States without an authority of law. Bowier's Law Dictionary, fifth definition of what constitutes the United States. There's many of this kind of stuff that is in here. Yeah. You go into the books, you will find this stuff. Yeah, I can put this up in front of the cameras here so you can get a little better look at it. You might enjoy looking at this thing a little bit here. See? There you have it. That's exactly where I started to read. The United States is not a country, it's a corporation. See? There you have it. I didn't do this, I didn't say this, and there's no one who's going to come and push that underneath the table. Let me tell you, when you do serious research, like I do, people walk away from me. Yeah. And here we have James Trafficant in front of Congress, where the fascia was on each side of the flag, saying that America is bankrupt. Yeah. It's right here in all this stuff here. And that is not something that is easy to deal with. And one of the big things here, the men behind the curtain runs the United States. You ever hear of a guy by the name of Colonel Edward Mandell House? Yeah, you should check that guy out. He worked for the British Empire and was part of the League of the Nation at one time. Of course, the League of Nations didn't come into being. It was replaced by the United Nations. And the United Nations now is the ones who run things. Here's some other interesting things there. show you how far back I go when it comes to determining America being a corporation, and a bankrupt one at that. Let's take a look at this a little bit more. You see where it says U.S. law is the private merchant law, leaving the people as surety and the debtor on the bankruptcy. You and I, that's you and I, are chattel, and we are surety. We are the guarantor of the debt of the United States. Every piece of land, every blade of grass is not yours and mine. We are tenants. We owe nothing in this country. And the international bankers owe you and me. That's the fact. That's not an opinion. Now, law is a contract, and let me go back here and illustrate to you here. Is a contract universally and in the U.S., so we must follow the progression of the contractual agreements which constitute the underlying U.S. law. We cannot address all individual laws and cases, but you have some of the stuff right here. We are now a private admiralty jurisdictions. That's where we are. Admiralty jurisdictions. That's why you have the golden fringe around the flag. In a basic chronological order, the following progression of contracts and our interpretation of them is like now. Here, as follows. The USA, a corporation of the British Crown, is bankrupt and has been since at least 1788. Yeah. You think I'm kidding you? No. That I'm gonna, maybe I can do this a little bit better. Let's see if that would work. Now you can probably read it. I hope you can anyway. A corporation of the English Crown is bankrupt and has been since at least 1788. The Articles of Confederation states in Article 12, all bills of credit emitted, monies borrowed, and debts contracted by or under the authority of Congress before the Assembly of the United States in pursuance of the present Confederation shall be deemed as considered a charge against the United States for payment and satisfaction whereof the said United States and the public faith are hereby solemnly pledged. See? This is what you're looking at here. Let's go over to the other side of the page here. There. Did you find this in Black's Law Dictionary too? 7th edition. See? Bankrupt occurred on January 1, 1788, based on 21 loans that the United States of America received from King of England, dating from February 1778 to July 5, 1782. See, and this is how it's been going on all this time. All this that the United States Bank and the President Washington in 1791 was a private bank with 25,000 shares, but 72% of these were owned by the Crown of England. Can you believe that? Hey. So much for your thinking that America is for Americans. Everything in the United States is owned to the foreigners. There's no such a thing as balancing the budget. And the IRS, who collects the taxes on behalf of the British, and maybe even the Jesuit bankers at the Vatican, would be involved in this thing too. But Speaker from Ohio, James Traficant, he had it bankrupt in 1933. So in any case, we are bankrupt. But in the days of the founders, so-called, they had what they call colonial script. They had their own money that they traded among themselves with. And when Ben Franklin took a trip to England as an ambassador, the king asked him how come they were so prosperous over there. And Ben Franklin, not realizing what he was doing here, they have prospered because they have their own money, called colonial script. But Nathan the rotten child Rothschild, said, you sign a 20-year charter with our banking system or else. See, or else. Yeah, that's the mafia bankers over there. Say, we determine. You better listen to us, because if you don't, you're going to have big, big problems. Or else, they said. Where was the power of the United States here? They buckled down like a bunch of beaten up, well, forget about the last word, but you get the point. So we got into this thing by brute force. And in 1 year, the colonies went bankrupt. 1 year it took the British to bankrupt the colonies, because they didn't understand the money systems either. They didn't understand the power of the international bankers. In fact, most of these people probably didn't understand any history from the bankers over there, even though they mostly called themselves Christians. Because if they had really understood it, they would have resisted being taken over. But since they got to be bankrupt from prosperity in just 1 year, you can be sure they had no knowledge of what really hit them. That's what you're looking at. Now, some people in the United States are starting to print their own money, but I don't know if it's too late for America at large. Yeah. Because we've been lied to every which way you could think of. The more you look at it, the more they have lied to us. And here we have the one that I did a few shows ago here, about, according to Tennessee law, the Jay Treaty in 1794. And the United States then agreed to pay 600,000 pounds sterling. And I went into that before, but you get the point. That if the British could request 600,000 pounds from the victor in the United States. Now, who in reality here is the victor? Huh? The loser is the victor. America has never been anything but a fictitious entity. That's what you got, fictitious. And here you see here are the bankers. In 1929, how these guys cheated us all the time. These are the big shot boys. They're lying like anything. There will be no interruption of our permanent prosperity. Take a look at the prosperity today. Is there an interruption or is there not? There was the Keynesian guy there who said that in 1927 there. We will not have any more crashes in our time. Yeah. And it lies all the time, and all these big shot boys there, the pages, I got 44 pages altogether on this thing. So what you're looking at here is just a little bit of it. They lied and lied and lied, and they're still lying, just like I showed you at the beginning of the show here, when we got started up again. Ponzi scheme here. The liar, the nose of that guy I showed you is getting bigger and bigger. Lies like anything. And his nose isn't red anymore. It's turned purple because of all the lies. Here's another interesting thing here, ladies and gentlemen, here. Shows you how stupid people are in America. Supposedly, we do respect and commemorate this Constitution on September 7th of each year. Why? Because of that date in 1887, 39 statesmen signed it at the foundational principle upon which we real Americans based our belief.